I think they're adorable, endearing creatures. I'm so glad we had them here because in this day and age, we need a little note of joy, and they certainly give it to us.
What did you particularly think of these two here? Was there anything that sort of you noticed? Were they particularly playful or anything?
They're always playful, and I think as soon as they get accustomed to their home here, they'll be even more so.
Do you think we're going to have a panda family?
Well, that's the hope of everyone in the United States.
Thank you.
All right. Because I know that when our dog sees us, that's where he puts his fur.
Back on the temperature's right.
Pictures? Watch
out how you don't look at
Not very well. I'm trying to get Why does it have that stuff around the tree?
Now she's
Going to the bathroom. Yeah, I'll take a picture of that. Okay, so that's easy.
We're going to go run.
okay.
It was easy. And then it through the door. Oh, yes, it was like near that.
She may not be out far enough to get her.
Because the guy walked by the same Oh, he's awfully walking after that. Oh, that's what I said. Everybody was running.
Mommy, I'm going to the other cage. Wait.
They got up.
Let's do the other cage. No, but the other one's way up there.
Come on, Susie, now you're going the wrong side.
I've taken 10 pictures now. I'm not going to take any more. You're not? I heard a 10 pictures and I'm not going to take any more. I'm going to take the rest first. All
You know how it is. Once they had them both,
Wow, this is exciting. On behalf of the entire National Zoo staff, I want to welcome all of you to the reopening of our giant panda exhibit. We are certain that this will be a wow exhibit. We are so excited today to introduce to you not one but two giant pandas, Dajang Mao. How was that? Giant panda, one of the rarest species on Earth. Mei Sheng and Tian Chen have been with us now for just over 1 month, and every day they have wowed all of us who have been taking care of them. The pandas have done extremely well during quarantine. They essentially eat everything in sight. They are very people-oriented and very food-motivated. They have become increasingly playful, trying out the rocks and the trees in their new home behind me, as you will soon see. They have also been snacking on the planted bamboo in the yards, as well as on the green grass up here in the front part of the yard. This grass has a very high winter sugar content, and we think they must taste very great to them. They also eat a high-fiber, nutritionally complete biscuit. It's a red biscuit, and you can also see it piled up here behind me on the rockwork grotto. Both pandas have gained a bit of weight so far during their month with us, between 5 and 10 pounds. This is what we'd like to see, given that they're growing youngsters. At 3.5 years old, Chen Chen weighs 215 pounds, or I think as a student corrected me today, maybe today's weight is 217. The female, Mei Sheng, 2.5 years old, weighs 142 pounds. We expect both of them to gain about 50 to 60 pounds as they age. The pandas have also received a series of routine vaccines and deworming medicines, and they're both in excellent health. Going back to the theme, this is truly a wow exhibit, I would like to specifically thank our Smithsonian Secretary, Larry Small, who will speak shortly. We simply would not have Mei Sheng and Chen Chen without his tremendous support. That's a wow. We hope Mei Sheng and Chen Chen will wow all of you as they have wowed us, not just with their incredible appeal, those round black and white faces and their playful nature, but we also hope you'll be wowed by how agile they are and how much bamboo they eat, by how rough and fast they can play at times, because all of these features are part of the pandas' adaptation to their natural world, which is the mountainous bamboo forest of southwestern China. Because these forests are becoming increasingly fragmented, wild giant pandas are increasingly at risk. So we at the National Zoo hope also to wow all of you with our educational programs, our ongoing research studies, our contribution to conservation projects in China. And all of these things involve cooperation and collaboration between the staff here at the zoo, the Smithsonian, our Chinese colleagues, members of zoos and conservation organizations all over the world, including Fish and Wildlife Service, Association of Zoo and Aquaria, World Wildlife Fund, San Diego Zoo, Zoo Atlanta, and of course our sponsors, particularly Fujifilm and Discovery Animal Planet. All of this effort is geared to help save the wild giant panda, and Mei Sheng and Chen Chen, in their way, are ambassadors for conservation. See carrot? He's about to pick up a piece of carrot. There was some apple, and there's some biscuits up there. That's just treat food. Yeah. Oh yeah. She's on her way. She's eating grass. She likes some of that sweet grass at the base of the trees.
Nobody thinks it's
They were eating a bunch of bamboo. They are eating, bamboo is what they mostly eat. This is like their little special snack for the day.
Why is the trees in the place if they don't?
There is a special going-away party tomorrow in Washington where the National Zoo is saying goodbye to its beloved giant panda, Taishan. When he was born in 2005, the zoo had to set up a 24-hour webcam because so many people wanted to see him. Taishan's now 4.5 years old and is going to China. We'll tell you why in just a sec. Don Moore is Animal Care Director at the National Zoo, and he joins us this morning. Good morning. There's your buddy wandering around behind you there. I bet you miss him already.
Yes, we do. Ty's a very special bear, and he's got millions of fans all around the world who watch him on our webcams about 24 hours a day.
And why is this bear being sent to China?
Well, Ty's 4.5, which, in human age, he'd be going to kindergarten, but in bear age, he needs to go to a breeding center. So he's kind of full of himself. These guys will reach sexual maturity around age 5 or 7, but there's not a dominant male in his exhibit with him here. So he's coming in a little early, and he was doing a thing called power walking this year. The Chinese own the pandas that are in the United States, and they want them to go back at age 2, but he's going back this year.
Yeah, Dave Price does a lot of power walking around our studio often. Now, so he gets to go back to China to power walk? I mean, what does that mean exactly?
Yeah, he's pretty much going to be power walking with a young lady that he'll meet over in China at the breeding center. Thanks to National Zoo research and Chinese research, we have almost 300 giant pandas in human care now in captivity in China and the United States. So he'll be in a breeding center.
It really is important for him to go back there and do this because, as we mentioned earlier in the show, there are fewer than 2,000 pandas in all of the world.
That's right. The giant panda is still critically endangered. Its habitat is endangered. The Chinese have protected a lot of its habitat in refuges, but we'd like to see at least 300 in the global captive population and still keep managing that wild population so that the panda does better.
That is one cute bear. Yeah, it's a really cute bear. I'm here to tell you, look at that picture. It's so great. Are you confident he'll be able to do his designated task when he gets to China?
Well, we certainly hope so. Ty lived with his mom and his dad longer than any other baby panda has in captivity, and hopefully he learned something, and he'll learn more in China. Bears are very good breeders when they have the opportunity.
Again, just like Dave. All right, look at that. That is such a great picture. I'm afraid we're out of time, Don, but we would love to just look at Ty for the rest of the morning. He is one good-looking bear.
He'll do just fine.
Yeah, I think he'll be all right.
Early warning for pandemania. Mei Zhang, the National Zoo's female panda, may be pregnant, but it'll take 40 days or so to be sure. And the suspense is building, because this may be the poor thing's last chance. If she doesn't reproduce, she could be shipped back to China and replaced by a younger, more fertile female. Nicole McCorkle is the panda's keeper.
Certainly, our fingers are crossed. Personally, having worked with her for so long, I'd hate to see her go.
And so would the 2 million annual visitors to the National Zoo's panda exhibit. It seems that pandas aren't that good at breeding in captivity. And since Mei Zhang and her partner Tian Tian came here in 2000, they've had just one cub and 7 false alarms.
Neither one of them had breeding experience when they got here. And then on top of that, the females are only really fertile for about 24 to 48 hours. So it's really important that all efforts are concentrated in that time.
So the news that Mei Zhang is beginning to act pregnant, building a nest in her den out of view of visitors, has gotten everyone here excited. Mei Zhang and her mate Tian Tian here at the National Zoo and all of the other breeding pairs of pandas in the U.S. are originally from China. They are the current generation of what came to be known 40 years ago as panda diplomacy, part of the first thaw in the Cold War between the U.S. and China.
We see Mao greeting the president in what appears to be his study or library.
The thaw began in 1972 when hardline anti-communist President Richard Nixon opened the door to China, and the U.S. began to deal directly with Beijing's communist government. The first panda pair, Xing Xing and Ling Ling, were a gift from China, welcomed to the zoo by First Lady Pat Nixon, who reported back to the president.
Well, there were an awfully lot of people there. Boy, it was well covered.
Good. But a lot of interest, and how did the people seem to enjoy it?
The public did enjoy it, and it set off a wave of interest in the creatures around the country. Jeanette Hemley has worked on conservation and panda issues with the World Wildlife Fund.
The 2 pandas that came to the National Zoo from China really were the start of this huge public fascination here in the United States and around the world.
The zoo estimates that in the more than 20 years Ling Ling and Xing Xing were alive, 75 million people came to see them. Not even zoo director Dennis Kelly can say exactly why the pandas are so popular.
It's got those unique eyes that we still not sure why they are, but those big colorations around their eyes, it seems to naturally attract both children and adults.
And the public's fascination with pandas also seems to have saved them from extinction.
The work that the American zoos and the zoos around the world have done in collaboration with the Chinese over the last 40 years have really turned this species around from almost going extinct to now having hope that an iconic species like the giant panda will survive.
Hundreds of people gathered at the Smithsonian's National Zoo today to say goodbye to the beloved giant pandas who are heading home to China. CBS's Adriana Diaz was there and reports the departure brings us closer to the end of more than a half a century of so-called panda diplomacy.
These might be the heaviest hitters here in Washington.
Did you see pandas?
Yes. There's one straight behind you.
Drawing swarms to the National Zoo to see its last 3 pandas for the last time. Brandy Smith is the zoo's director.
They are just joy. People watch them, they're happy, they smile, and I think joy is in short supply these days.
Look at how cute. Under the zoo's contract with China, all bears go back.
The building's just going to be quiet, and that's going to be hard.
An empty nest.
Empty nest.
Good boy.
Leaving zookeepers who've been with some since birth bracing.
I'm trying not to think about the end.
The zoo's first pandas arrived in 1972.
I think pandemonium is going to break out right here at the zoo.
After President Nixon and the First Lady's historic visit to the then closed-off China. Americans' love only grew with the Panda Cam. Bao Bao's first snow day got over 6 million views. They were hooked on Beibei's famous but shaky love of heights. Before the birth of Xiao Qiji, which means little miracle. Today, he and his parents headed home with bamboo snacks for the plane. And their caregivers' long faces say it all. Analysts point to poor U.S.-China relations for the panda drawdown, but the zoo's director is hopeful.
I cannot imagine Washington, D.C. without giant pandas, and I will do everything I can to bring them back.
Not all is lost. Zoo Atlanta still has a pair of pandas, though they're expected to go back to China early next year. Panda fans are now watching a meeting between President Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping next week in San Francisco, hoping that a diplomatic breakthrough could increase chances for future pandas coming to America. Nora?
Yes. Fingers crossed for that, right, Adriana? Fingers crossed. Need those pandas.
Definitely.
Thank you.